Chapter 12 MS Access. Hello students, welcome to the class. In this chapter, we will learn various skills of Microsoft Access. This chapter will cover Introduction to Database Management System, Datum, Database Systems, Characteristics of DBMS, that is Database Management System, Advantages of DBMS, Disadvantages of DBMS, Instances and Schemes, Internet Options, Data Models, Entity Relationship Model, that is ER Model, Entity, Relational Model, Microsoft Access 2010, Introduction, Starting Access, Overview of the User Interface, Navigation Pane, Backstage View. Working with database and tables, creating a new database, data sheet view, creating tables, creating a table in data sheet view, adding fields, columns by entering data, renaming fields, creating a table in design view, defining fields, setting a primary key, saving table, editing tables and databases, adding field, deleting field, reordering field, adding records, deleting records, closing databases, opening databases, working with database objects, opening database objects, open a table, using data sheet view, switching between views, closing database objects, remaining database objects, deleting database objects, sorting and filtering, sorting records, filtering records, indexes, create an index, create a single field index, create a multiple field index, delete an index, view and edit indexes. Introduction to Database Management System. A database management system, that is DBMS, is a collection of a set of programs and interrelated data to access those data. This is a group of correlated data with an inherent meaning and hence is a database. In a simple manner, database is a collection of related data and data is a collection of truths and statistics that can be processed to produce information. The primary task of a DBMS is to provide a way to store and retrieve database info that is both suitable and efficient. For example, consider the name, mobile number, email and home address of the people user know. User may have recorded this data in an indexed telephone book, or user may have stored it on a diskette using a personal computer and software such as Microsoft Access or Excel. Datum. A datum, a unit of data, is a symbol or a superset of symbols which is used to represent something. This correlation between symbols and what they represent is the principle of what we mean by information. Knowledge denotes to the practical use of information. While information can be stored or shared without many complications, the same cannot be said about knowledge. Knowledge essentially involves a personal experience. Database systems. Database systems are designed and developed to manage large bodies of information. Management of data involves both defining structures for storage of information and providing mechanisms for the manipulation of information. In totaling, the database system must ensure the protection of the information stored, despite system crashes or attempts at unauthorized access. If data are to be shared among several users, the system must avoid possible anomalous results. Characteristics of DBMS. Friends, let's discuss various characteristics of DBMS one by one. Real entity. A DBMS is more realistic and uses real entities to design its architecture. It uses the behavior and attributes. For example, a college database may use applicant as an entity and their name as an attribute. Relation-based structure. DBMS allows entities and relations between them to form tables. A user can understand the architecture of a database just by seeing at the table names. Inaccessibility of data and application. A database system is totally different than its data. A database is an active entity, whereas data is supposed to be passive, on which the database works and organizes. DBMS also stores metadata, which is data about data, to ease its own process. Lowest redundancy. DBMS follows the rules of normalization, which splits a relation when any of its attributes is having redundancy in values. Consistency. Consistency is a state run where every relation in a database remains consistent. There exist techniques and methods which can detect attempt of leaving database in consistent state. Query languages. DBMS is equipped with query languages, which makes it more resourceful to retrieve and manipulate data. A user can apply as many and as different filtering options as mandatory to retrieve a set of data. RSCIT properties. DBMS follows the concept of atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. These concepts are applied on transactions which manipulate data in a database. RSCIT properties support the database stay healthy in multi-transactional environments and in case of failure. Concurrent and multi-user access. DBMS supports multi-user environment and allows them to access and manipulate data at same time, though there are limitations on transactions when users attempt to handle the same data item, but users are always unaware of them. Multiple views. DBMS offers multiple views for different users. A user who is in the account department will have a different view of database than a person working in the production department. This feature enables the users to have a concrete view of the database according to their requirements. Security. Features like multiple view offer security to some extent where users are unable to access data of the other user and department. DBMS offer methods to impose constraints while entering data into the database and retrieving the same at a later stage. DBMS offers many different levels of security features, which enables multiple users to have different views with different features. Advantages of DBMS. Friends, let's have a brief look over various advantages of DBMS one by one. Data independence. Application programs will be as independent as possible from details of data representation and storage. The DBMS can provide an abstract view of the data to insulate application code from such details. Efficient data access. A DBMS utilizes a variety of sophisticated techniques to store and retrieve data efficiently. This feature is especially important if data is stored on external storage devices. Data security and integrity. If data is always accessed through the DBMS can enforce integrity constraint on the data. For example, before inserting payment information for a vendor, the DBMS can check that the department budget is not exceeded. Also, the DBMS can enforce access controls that govern what data is visible to different classes of users. Reduced development time. The DBMS supports many important functions that are common to many applications accessing data stored in the DBMS. This, in conjunction with the high-level interface to the data, facilitates quick development of application. Disadvantages of a DBMS. Friends, let's discuss various disadvantages of DBMS. Complexity. A database system creates additional complexity and requirements. The supply and operation of a database management system with several users and database is quite costly and demanding. Skilled personnel. The professional operation of a database system requires suitably trained staff. Without a qualified database administrator, nothing will work for long. Cost. Through the use of a database system, new costs are generated for the organization itself, but also for additional hardware and the more complex handling of the system. Lower efficiency. A database system is a multi-use software which is often less efficient than specialized software which is produced and optimized exactly for one problem. Instances and schemes. Database change over time as information is inserted, updated and deleted. The collection of information stored in the database at a certain moment is called an instance of a database. The overall design of the database is called the database schema. Data models. Data models define how the logical structure of a database is modeled. Data models are fundamental entities to introduce abstraction in a DBMS. Data models define how data is connected to each other and how they are processed and stored inside the system. Entity Relationship Model, ER Model. Entity Relationship, ER Model is based on the notion of real-world entities and relationships among them. While formulating real-world scenario into the database model, the ER model create relationship set, entity set, general attributes and constraints. ER model is best used for the conceptual design of a database. Entity. An entity in an ER model is a real-world entity having property called attributes. Every attribute is defined by its set of values called domain. For example, in a college database, a student can be one of the entities. Student entity can have attributes like name, father's name, DOB, sex, class, etc. Relationship. The logical association among entity is called relationship. Relationships are drawn with entities in various ways. Just have a look over mapping cardinalities. It defines the number of association between two entities: one to one, one to many, many to one, and many to many. Relational model. The most popular and used data model in DBMS is the relational model. It is more scientific model than others. Informally, the relational model consists of a class of data structures referred to as tables, a collection of methods for building new tables starting from an initial collection of tables. We refer to these methods as relational algebra operations. A collection of constraints imposed on the data contained in tables. Microsoft Access 2010. Introduction. Microsoft Access 2010 is a powerful relational database management software that can be used to track, share and report data as well as information. It provides access to a huge library of professionally designed templates, wizards that automatically create tables, forms, queries and reports. Starting Access. User can start MS Access 2010 from the Start menu or by opening an existing MS Access file. When users start the program without opening a specific file of Access, the Backstage view open, prompting user to create a new database. To start MS Access 2010 from the Start menu, click the Start button. Click on All Programs. Click on Microsoft Office 2010 and then click Microsoft Access 2010. The new page of the Backstage view open. displaying thumbnails of the available template and template categories. Under Available Templates, click Blank Database. Click the Create button. A blank database opens in the program window and a blank table named Table 1 opens in Datasheet view. Overview of the user interface. All the MS Office 2010 programs share a common user interface. So, you can also apply basic technique that you learn in one program to other programs. The MS Access 2010 program window is easy to use and navigate. Title bar appears at the top of the MS Access window and displays the name of database file and file path. The buttons on the right side of the title bar are used to minimize, restore and close the Access window. Quick Access toolbar appears on the left side of the title bar and contains frequently used commands that are independent of the tab displayed on the ribbon menu. Ribbon extend across the top of the Access window directly below and downline the title bar and consists of a set of tabs, each of which contains groups of related commands. Navigation pane appears on the left side of the Access window and displays list of all the objects in a current database. Object window appears below the ribbon and displays open database objects. Status bar appears at the bottom of the program window and displays information about the database and provides access to certain program functions. Navigation pane. The navigation pane is a central location from which user can easily view and access all users' database objects. By default, it appears on the left side of the Access window and displays all the objects in the database, grouped by object type and sorted by object name. When the list of objects is longer, then can be displayed within the height of the navigation pane. Access also provides a scroll bar. User can expand and collapse the group in the list by clicking the section bar. User can also change the display in the navigation pane by clicking on the pane's title bar and selecting a different categories or filtering from the menu. The user can minimize the navigation pane to maximize the amount of screen area available to work with opened database objects. Clicking on the shutter bar close button in the upper right corner of the pane makes it appear as a thin bar on the left side of the Access window. Clicking on the shutter bar open button at the top of the minimized pane expanded. User can also drag the right edges of the navigation pane to the right or left to make it narrower or wider. Backstage view. The File tab is used to display the Backstage view, which contains all the options related to managing file and customizing the Access program. It provides a way to open, create, save, print and close files, view and update file property, find recently used file, set permission, set program option, get help and exit from the Access program. User can display the Backstage view at any time by clicking on the File tab on the ribbon. User can exit the Backstage view by pressing the Escape key or by clicking any tab on the ribbon. Creating a new database. A database needs to be created before a table is created in the database. When a user creates a new database, user creates a file that acts as a container for all objects in user database. MS Access 2010 comes with a variety of templates that can be leveraged to speed up the database creation process. A template is a ready-to-use database that contains all tables, forms, queries, and reports needed to perform a particular task. If none of the templates meet user needs, user can build a database from scratch by using and creating a blank database, and then adding user's own tables and other database objects. To create a new database, click on the File tab, then click on New. The new page of the Backstage view opens, and displays thumbnails of the available template categories. Under Available Templates, click on Blank Database. In the File Name box, type a required name for the database. Click on the Browse button next to the File Name box. In the File New Database box, select the folder where user wants to save the database and click on the OK button. The path to the specific folder is displayed below the File Name box. Click on the Create button. A blank database opens in the Access window and a blank table with name as Named Table 1 opens in Datasheet view. See figure below. Click on the Close button in the upper right corner of the object window of MS Access. Useful tips. User cannot create any blank database without saving it. If user does not provide a file name and a location, MS Access saves the file with the name database followed by in sequence number in the Documents folder. File name cannot contain the following characters: greater than sign, less than sign, asterisk, question mark, quotation mark, forward slash, backslash, pipe symbol, and colon. If user closes table 1 at this point, MS Access will not prompt user to save the table because it contains no data and it has no structure of information. The simple way to make the table part of the database is to create at least one record by entering data into the table, which concurrently defines the table structure. Table. A table is a primary object of a database that user defines and uses to store data. A table contains information about a particular subject. A table consists of records and fields. Each record contains data about one instance of the table. Each record consists of one or more fields. Each field contains data about one aspect of the table subject, such as a student's first name or email address. In the Datasheet view in MS Access, a table looks very similar to an MS Excel worksheet where data is stored in rows, that is records, and columns, that is fields. The first row contains column header, that is field name. In this format, the tables are often simply referred to as a data sheet. When the active object of database is a table, the Table Tool Contextual tab, that is field and table, becomes available on the ribbon so that user can work with the table. Creating tables. When user creates a new table, the user has complete control over the number of fields, the name of the fields, and what sort of data and information they can store. User can create a new table in either Design View or Datasheet View. Regardless of which view user start in, user can always switch to the other view by using the View button on the ribbon or by clicking the various views buttons on the View Shortcuts toolbar. Creating a table in Datasheet View. In Datasheet View, you can enter data into a new table without first defining the table structure. On the Create tab, in the Tables group, click on the Table button. A new blank table opens in the Object window in Datasheet View. Adding fields, columns by entering data. Entering data in Datasheet View is similar to entering data in an MS Excel worksheet. The main restriction is that data must be entered in attached rows and columns, starting in the upper left corner of the datasheet. The table structure is created while user enters data. Anytime user adds a new column to a datasheet, a new field is defined in table. In each new table created in Datasheet View, MS Access automatically creates the first field, called SID. In the left column of the datasheet, by default, this field is designated as the primary key and is planned to contain an entry that will uniquely identify the record. The data types of this field is set to auto number. which means that MS Access will automatically enter in sequence number in the field for each new record user adds. User can add a new field to the table by entering data in the click on the Add column, that is the last column of the data sheet. MS Access will automatically assign a data type based on the data that user enters. Click in the first cell in the click on the Add column. Enter the first item of data or information for the new record, and then press the Tab or Enter key to move to the first cell in the column to the right. MS Access assigns the value 1 to the ID field, assigns the name field 1 to the second field, and moves on the click to add label to the third column. The icon on the row selector changes to a pencil to indicate that the record has been changed but has not yet been saved, and the asterisk icon moves to the row selector of the next row. Click on the pencil icon in the row selector. This saves the first record with the value 1 assigned to the ID field. Subsequent IDs will have incremental, that is incremented by 1 values. Continue entering item of data in consecutive cell and pressing the Tab or Enter key. When user finishes entering all the data for the first record, click anywhere in the row below to save the record. Renaming fields. When user adds a field by entering data or information in Data Sheet view, MS Access automatically assigns a generic name to the field. MS Access assigns the name Field 1 to the first field, Field 2 to the second field, and so on. See figure below. By default, a field name is used as its label wherever the field is displayed, such as a column header on a data sheet. It is important to rename these fields to more meaningful names so that a user can connect with these when the user view or edit the table. To rename a field in Data Sheet view, in the object window, double-click the field name. Type the new name as required and then press the Enter key. Creating a table in Design view. When user creates a table in Design view, user has more control over the database design. User first creates the new table structure in Design view, and then user can switch to Data Sheet view to enter data. In the Design view, the object window consists of two panes. The Field Entry pane, located at the top of the object window, is used to enter each field's name, data type, and description. The Field Properties pane, located at the bottom of the object window, is used to specify the field properties. The property available in the Field Property pane depends on the data type assigned to the selected field. On the right side of the Field Property pane is a box in which MS Access displays information about field or property. To create a table in the Design view, on the Create tab in the Table group, click on the Table Design button. A new blank table opens in the object window in the Design view. Defining fields. Every table consists of fields or columns. Each field has a set of property that controls the way it store, handle, and display data. For example, field size, input mask, format, default value. A field data type is the most important property because it determines what kind of data a field can store. In the Design view, user creates a new field by entering the field name, specifying the field data type, and specifying its other properties. The field name uniquely identifies the field within a table. The field description indicates the field purpose and is optional. The field data type determines which other properties user can set. MS Access automatically assigns default field properties, which user can modify as needed. Data types. Dear friends, let's discuss various data types. Text. Text is the default data type in MS Access. text fields accept either text data or numeric data, including delimited lists of items up to 255 characters. Memo user can enter large amount of text data and numeric data in this type of field up to 65,538 characters. Also, if the field is set to support the rich text format, user can apply the types of format that user normally finds in word processing programs such as MS Word. Number. User can enter only numbers and user can perform calculations on the values in a number field. Date. Time. User can enter only date and time. Currency. User can enter only currency values. User do not have to manually enter a currency symbol. By default, MS Access applies the currency symbols. By default, MS Access applies the currency symbol as specified in user's operating system regional settings. Auto number. User cannot enter or change the data in this type of field. MS Access increments the value in an auto number field whenever user adds a new record to a table. Data types. Yes, no. When a field is set to this data type, MS Access displays either a checkbox or a drop-down list, depending on how user format the field. If user format the field to show a list, user can select either yes or no, true or false, or on or off from the list, again depending on the format applied to the field. User cannot enter values in the list or change the values in the list directly from a form or table. OLE object. User use this type of field when user want to display data from a file created with another program. Hyperlink. User can enter any data in the type of field and MS Access adds to user's text. If user enters a valid web address, user link will work. Otherwise, user link will result in an error message. Attachment. User can attach data from other programs to this type of field, but user cannot type or otherwise enter text or numeric data. Calculated. This data type lets user create a field that is based on a calculation of other field in the same table. Lookup. Wizard lookup. Wizard is not a data type. Instead, user uses the wizard to create a lookup field. A lookup field displays either a list of values that is retrieved from a table of query or a set of table that user specifies when user creates the field. A lookup field allows user to choose values from a list during data entry, thereby reducing repetitive typing and eliminating typing errors. Setting a primary key. A primary key consists of one or more fields that uniquely identify each record in a table. There are several advantages to setting a primary key. First, the primary key is automatically indexed, which makes information recovery faster. Second, when user opens a table, the records are automatically sorted in order by the primary key. Finally, a primary key avoids the entry of duplicate data in a table. When user creates a new table in datasheet view, MS Access automatically creates a primary key for user and assigns it a field name of ID and the auto number data type. In the design view, user can change or remove the primary key or set the primary key for tables that does not already have one. To set a primary key, click on the row selector of the field user want to designate as the primary key. On the Design tab, in the Tool group, click on the Primary Key button. A key icon appears to the left of the field that user can specify as the primary key. Saving table. After user creates or modifies a table, user shall save it. When user saves a table for the first time, user shall give it a meaningful name. To save a table or tables for the first time, on the Quick Access toolbar, click on the Save button. The Save As option dialog box opens. In the table name box, type a name for the table. Click on the OK button. The table appears in the tables list in the navigation pane. Editing tables and databases. After creating a table, you can modify table structure by adding, deleting, or reordering fields. You can also modify tables data by adding new records, editing existing records, or deleting obsolete records. Adding field. To store a new part of data or information in an existing table, a user can add a field to the table. To add a field or fields, in the navigation pane, right-click on the table that user wants to edit, and then click Design View on the shortcut menu. The table opens in the Design View. Click the row selector of the field above which you want to insert the new field. On the Design tab, in the Tool group, click on the Insert Rows button. MS Access inserts a blank row that user can use to define the new field. In the Field Name column, type a name for the new field. In the Data Type column, click on the down arrow and select a data type for the new field. Deleting field. If not required, a field can be deleted by the user. Deleting a field gets rid of all the data in that field. To delete a field or fields, in navigation pane, right-click on the table that user wants to edit and then click Design View on the shortcut menu. The table opens in Design View. Click on the row selector of the field that user wants to delete. On the Design tab in the Tool group, click on the Delete Rows button. Reordering field. While the order of the fields does not affect how the table functions within the database, it is a good practice to group fields together in some logical order so that they are easy to find. The primary key should be kept at the top of the list. To move a field or fields, in the navigation pane, right-click the table that user wants to edit and then click on Design View on the shortcut menu. The table opens in the Design View. Click on the row selector of the field that user wants to move and then drag the row selector to the desired location. A line appears to show where the field will be placed when user releases the mouse button. Adding records. Every table has a blank row that follows the last record in the table. The blank row displays an asterisk on the row selector at the left end of the row. As soon as user begins entering data into the new record row, the asterisk on the row selector changes to a pencil to indicate that the record is being entered or edited, and MS Access creates another new record row below it. If there is no data available in the table, only the new record row appears. To add a record, in the navigation pane, user can double-click the table that user wants to edit. The table opens in the Data Sheet view. On the Home tab, in the Record group, click the New button. The insertion point is placed in the first column in the new record row of the table. Enter the required data and then press the Tab or Enter key to move the insertion point to the next column in the same row. Enter the required data in the remaining columns, pressing the Tab or Enter key after each entry. To save the new record, press Shift plus Enter at any place in the record, or press the Tab or Enter key in the last column in the record. Or on the Home tab, in the Record group, click the Save button. Useful tip: if the data entered by a user violates a field validation rule, MS Access notifies user as soon as user attempt to leave the column. The user must provide a correct value before user can move to another column. Press the escape key or click the undo button on the quick access toolbar to undo the change to the current value. MS Access automatically saves a new record or changes made to an existing record as soon as user moves to another row. Also, MS Access saves records automatically when user closes a table. Deleting records. When user no longer needs a record, user can delete it from the table. Deleting record saves disk space and keeps user table smaller and manageable. To delete a record, in the navigation pane, double-click on the table that user wants to edit. The table opens in the data sheet view. Click the row selector of the record that user wants to delete. On the Home tab in the record group, click the delete button. The selected record is removed from the table and a dialog box opens asking user to confirm. Click the yes button. Closing databases. When user finishes working on a database, user shall close the file. If the database contains any unsaved objects, user will be prompted to save the objects before closing the file. To close a database, click on the File tab and then click Close Database. Opening databases. User can view or edit an existing database by opening it in MS Access. Once the database file is loaded into memory, user can open all the tables or other objects within that database. To open an existing database, click on the File tab and then click on Open. In the Open dialog box, locate and select the file that user want to open and then click the Open button. Each time user starts MS Access, user opens an instance of it. In a single instance of MS Access, user can have only one database open at a time. Hence, to open two MS Access databases at the same time, start MS Access and open the first database. And then start MS Access again and open the second database. Each instance of MS Access runs in a separate window. When user opens a database that contains potentially unsafe active content such as macros, expressions, actions, queries, active X controls or VBA code, a security warning message is displayed on the message bar just below the ribbon. If user knows the content is from a reliable source, click the Enable Content button on the message bar. Opening database objects. User can open any object in a database by double-clicking it in navigation pane. Every open object appears on a tab in which the object window, the view in which the data appears, depend on the type of object user opens. Tables and queries appear in data sheet view. Forms appear in form view. Reports appear in report view. And macros and modules run program attached to the object. Using data sheet view. In the data sheet view, displaying different record or fields is simple. User can use the horizontal scroll bar to scroll through a tables field, or user can use the vertical scroll bar to scroll through a table's records. The record navigation bar located at the bottom of object window indicates how many records the table contains and which ones are active and enables user to navigate through the datasheet record. Click on the first record button to go to the first record in the data sheet. Click on the previous record button to go to the previous record in the data sheet. If user knows the record number, that is, the row number of a specific record, click in the current record box. Enter the record number and then press the enter key. Click on the next button record to go to the next record in the data sheet. Click on the last record button to go to the last record in the data sheet. Click on the new, that is, blank record button to go to the new record row in the data sheet. Switching between views. Every MS Access object has two or more views. For tables, two most common views are datasheet view, that is, which allows user to view and modify the table's data, and Design View, which allows user to view and modify the table's structure. Closing database objects. When user is finished working on a database object, user can close it but can keep database open to work on other objects. To close a table, in Object window, select the table that user wants to close. Click the Close button in the upper right corner of the Object window. Renaming database objects. A user can rename the objects in a database. Before renaming objects, make sure that it is closed. To rename a table, in Navigation pane, right-click on the table that user wants to rename and then click Rename on the shortcut menu. The table name is placed in edit mode. Type a new name and then press the Enter key. Post this change. Tables in the list are reorganized in alphabetical order. If user enters the name of a table that already exists in the database, a dialog box opens asking whether user wants to replace the existing table. If user clicks the Yes button, MS Access deletes the old table before performing the renaming operation. Deleting database objects. The user can delete an object from a database if it is no longer needed. Before deleting an object, make sure that it is closed. To delete a table, in Navigation pane, right-click the table that user wants to delete and then click Delete on the shortcut menu. A dialog box opens asking user to confirm. Click the Yes button. Sorting and filtering. Sorting and filtering features are used to organize your data. When you sort data, you are putting it in order. Filtering data lets you hide unimportant data and focus only on the data you are interested in. Sorting records. When you sort it, means you are arranging records in a particular order. You will normally group logical data together and show them together to read and understand them better and get some meaning out of data. By default, Access sorts records by their ID numbers. However, there are many other ways records can be sorted. You can sort both text and numbers in two ways: in ascending order and descending order. Ascending means going up. So, an ascending sort will arrange numbers from smallest to largest and text from A to Z. Descending means going down, or largest to smallest for numbers and Z to A for text. To sort records, select a field in the cell you want to sort by. In this example, we will sort by learner city. Now, select Home tab on the ribbon and locate the Sort and Filter group. Sort the field by selecting the ascending or descending command. The table now will be sorted by the selected field, that is, city name. To save the new sort, click Save command on the Quick Access toolbar. After you save the sort, the records will stay sorted that way until you perform another sort or remove the current one. To remove a sort, simply click the Remove Sort command. You can also combine multiple fields to sort on the combination on fields. Filtering records. Filter allows you to view only the data you want to see and work on. When you create a filter, you set criteria for the data you want to display. The filter then searches all of the records in the table, finds the ones that meets your search criteria, and temporarily hides the ones that don't. Filters are useful because they allow you to focus in on specific records without being distracted by the data you are uninterested in. For instance, if you had a database that included learners and ITGK information, you can create a filter to display only learners studying within a certain city or only ITGKs that operate in a certain city. Viewing this data with a filter would be far more convenient than searching for it in a large table. To create a filter, click the drop-down arrow next to the field you want to filter by. We will filter by city because we want to see a list of learners who live in a certain city. Select and deselect items one at a time by clicking their checkboxes. Here, we will deselect all of the options except for Jaipur. Click Select All to include every item in the filter. Clicking Select All a second time will deselect all items. Click Blank to set the filter to find only the records with no data in the selected field. Click OK. The filter will be applied. Our customers table now displays only learners who live in Jaipur. Toggling your filter allows you to turn it on or off. To view records without the filter, simply click the Toggle Filter command. To restore the filter, click it again. Filtering by selection allows you to select specific data from your table and find data that is similar or dissimilar to it. For instance, if you were working with a learners database and wanted to search for all learners whose name contained the word Shankar, you could select that word in one learner name and create a filter with that selection. Creating a filter with a selection can be more convenient than setting up a simple filter if the field you are working with contains many items. Indexes. You can use an index to help Access find and sort records faster. An index stores the location of records based on the field or fields that are part of the index, depending on the number of unique values on the indexed fields. An index can be much smaller than the table it describes, making it more efficient for Access to read. In Access, an index is like a list of field values that appear in a table. Each entry in the list shows the locations for the records that contain the field values. If you want to find a particular field value, an index makes it much faster than reading through the whole table. The larger the number of different field values in a table, the more an index helps improve search and select query performance. The more frequently a given field value appears in a table, the less improvement an index will provide. After Access obtains the location of the records from the index, it can retrieve the data from those records by moving directly to the correct location. In this manner, using an index can be much faster than scanning through all the records in the table to find the data. Dear friends, let's discuss indexes in more detail. When you append, delete, or update data, any indexes on the affected tables must be updated to reflect the changes. This can impede performance. Again, think of a book. If you make changes, the index must also change or it will be inaccurate. Changing the index takes time, and that is time that you would not spend if there were no index. Access works the same way. Indexes make changing your data take longer. You can create an index that is based on a single field or on multiple fields. You should consider indexing fields that you search frequently, fields that you sort, and fields that you join to fields in other tables in query. Indexes can help speed up searches and select queries, but they can slow down performance when you add or update data. When you enter data in a table that contains one or more indexed fields, Access must update the indexes every time a record is added or changed. Adding records by using an append query or by appending imported records is also likely to be slower if the destination table contains indexes. Create an index. To create an index, you first decide whether you want to create a single field index or a multiple field index. You create an index on a single field by setting the indexed property. Let's discuss the possible settings for the indexed property. No. Indexed properties setting means don't create an index on this field or delete the existing index. Yes. Duplicates OK. Indexed properties setting means create an index on this field. Yes. No duplicates. Indexed properties setting means create a unique index on this field. Unique index. If you create a unique index, Access doesn't let you enter a new value in the field if that value already is in the same field in another record. Access automatically creates a unique index for primary keys, but you might also want to prevent duplicate values in other fields. For example, you can create a unique index on a field that stores serial numbers so that no two products have the same serial number. Creates a single field index. In the navigation pane, right-click the name of the table that you want to create, the indexed in, and then click Design View on the shortcut menu. In the navigation pane, right-click the name of the table that you want to create the index in, and then click Design View on the shortcut menu. Click the field name for the field that you want to index. Under Field Properties, click the General tab. In the indexed property, click Yes. Duplicates OK if you want to enable duplicates, or Yes, no duplicates to create a unique index. To save your changes, click Save on the Quick Access toolbar or press Ctrl S. Create a multiple field index. In the navigation pane, right-click the name of the table that you want to create the index in and then click Design View. On the Design tab, in the Show Hide group, click Indexes. The Indexes window appears. Resize the window so that some blank rows appears and the index properties are shown. To create a multiple field index for a table, you include a row in the Indexes window for each field in the index and include the index name only in the first row. Access treats all rows as part of the same index until it comes to a row that contains another index name. To insert a row, right-click the location where you want to insert a row and then click Insert Rows on the shortcut menu. In the index name column, in the first blank row, type a name for the index. You can name the index after one of the index fields or use another name. In the field name column, click the arrow and then click the first field that you want to use for the index. In the next row, leave the index name column blank and then in the field name column, click the second field for the index. Repeat the step until you select all the fields that you want to include in the index. Note: the default sort order is ascending. To change the sort order of the field's values in the sort order column of the Indexes window, click Ascending or Descending. In the Indexes window, under Index Properties, specify the index properties for the row in the index name column that contains the name of the index. Set the properties according to the following table. To save your changes, click Save on the Quick Access toolbar. Keyboard shortcut, press Ctrl S. Close the Indexes window. Delete an index. If you find that an index becomes unnecessary or has too great an effect on performance, you can delete it. When you delete an index, you remove only the index and not the field or fields on which it built. In the navigation pane, right-click the name of the table that you want to delete the index in, and then click Design View on the shortcut menu. On the Design tab in the Show Hide group, click Indexes. The Indexes window appears. Resize the window so that some blank rows appear and the index properties are shown. In the Indexes window, select the row or rows that contain the index that you want to delete and then press Delete. Tip: make sure that you select the whole row. To save your changes, click Save on the Quick Access toolbar. Keyboard shortcut, press Ctrl S. Close the Indexes window. View and edit indexes. You might want to see the indexes for a table to weigh their effect on performance or to make sure that particular fields are indexed. In the navigation pane, right-click the name of the table that you want to change the index in, and then click Design View on the shortcut menu. On the Design tab in the Show Hide group, click Indexes. The Indexes window appears. Resize the window so that some blank row appear and the index properties are shown. View or edit the indexes and index properties to suit your needs. To save your changes, click Save on the Quick Access toolbar. Keyboard shortcut, press Ctrl S. Close the Indexes window.